Greetings, this is Copy Who, and I'm your host, Paul the producer. Can you dig it? Some of you can. Good morning! It's 6:32 Mountain Standard Time, Network Time. And what's the day today? February 10th, 2023, the day of our Lord. Oh boy, how to start these things out. It's early. I'm coming to you early on this Friday because I woke up early again, and it's my best night of sleep in 3 days, but still for me it's not good enough. And I just feel, I am flustered. I'm foggy-headed, and I've been putting things aside in my notes that I want to talk about today. I have a lot of interesting things to talk about, I think. Some of them are what you are beginning to expect probably from me. Let's do this, shall we? I like this. I am thirsty. I'm not just doing a bit like drinking water. I'm not copying anybody drinking water. I just found out that I like drinking from a cup when I'm doing this. Has a cool something. It looks like vodka, right? It's not vodka at 6:30 in the morning. It is just regular H2O. Cleaned out with some funny, ultraviolet light stuff. Bought it at Natural Grocers. Yeah, I actually truly am thirsty right now. What's going on, everybody? I want to say hello to these two little busters. But first, before I do that, I'll cut this music off and say, hello, owls. WTF with you two. Welcome. I'm just moving right on. Unless I have something to say to you, I'm not going to say anything to you, okay? I might abuse you guys sometimes, but I don't really. You have it pretty good. Don't take that for granted. Care about you. What, Jules? Nothing? Ah, okay. Like, I don't know. You ignored me. Right. So you don't know what to make of me. I understand. I don't know what to make of me either. Pulling things aside this morning. Actually, I was in bed and I had these good thoughts and ideas stirring through my head. Looking at you guys like I'm talking to the birds. I had these good things in my head, and I'm thinking, well, this is a Friday. I woke up early. If I wait until evening to do this, I'm under the LED lights, and it makes my head wonky in the evening. I think it screws up my circadian rhythm, my sleeping patterns. And I have something to do in the afternoon, so I thought, why not get up now and do this? I didn't quite sleep enough last night, but I had about 6.5 hours, and to me, it should be about 7 to 7.5 hours. Otherwise, I'm a little not liking it very much. I really am thirsty right now. I wake up feeling dehydrated in the morning. So what's going on, everybody? It's the same crazy world today that it was yesterday. I after finishing the show on Wednesday, I'm like, oh my God, what next? But it never fails. I watch TV and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that. And one of the thing I watch the most amazingly is YouTube, other content creators. And I enjoy being able to comment on what they say. So sometimes I'm noticing that I used to pick videos that I haven't seen, and sometimes that still happens. And I would just react to them. It would be like a virginal reaction because I haven't seen it. And then I'm picking videos, specifically ones that I've seen already. And once I see them and I start realizing it churns thoughts in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to play that. So last night I had a Joe Rogan clip I pulled out. And then I watched another Joe Rogan clip where I had very good reactions to Joe Rogan and Louis C.K. And I'm going to do that one today. The second one, and I put away the first one, and I thought I'll be much more interesting talking about the second one. So that's one of the things I have on top today. I have several things dealing with wokeness. I have another Rollo video, and it comes at the end. So it's entirely possible that I won't even get to the Rollo video because when it takes forever, when the show goes on long, sometimes at the end I'm like, oh, that's enough. I'm just going to quit now and manage my losses. Like, because sometimes you go too far, you get exhausted. I noticed the very longest show that I did, it was over an hour and a half. I started getting fatigued and I was frustrated having to quit. The good time about doing this at this time of morning is I don't expect I don't expect annoying interruptions. In the afternoon is usually when, if there are interruptions that come from my normal daily life's work, that's when they come in. So if you're bored already, actually, what I'm getting used to saying is I don't want the goldfish here. If you like the long form, that's awesome. You are a splendid human being if you like long form things that require you to pay attention. You should aspire to have a long attention span. And yeah, I was praying this morning, and holy crap, was I distracted. And I even pointed out in my prayer that, crap, I'm distracted because I'm praying, and then all of a sudden my mind goes off in this other direction. And that's even when I'm speaking out loud praying. And that's what I'm doing. And I want this to be entertaining. I want it to be full of life, interesting, thought provoking. And along those lines, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this here. I actually, one of the things I'm praying for is trying to do this in a way that helps make people better people, and in its own tiny, small way, divert the trajectory of the world to go to a better place, to be a better place, to be the place, frankly, that God wants it to be. And so I don't always live up to that here. Sometimes you're like, what? You say all these horrible things, the way you speak to people, the way I swear, the way I'm guttural. It's true. And I'm always trying to be a better person. And I'm still going to be a sinner, and I'm not making justifications for my sins. It's just the way things are. And this is part of what was going through my mind this morning when I was thinking about getting up and doing this. That's just an honest account. But let me go over to this right now. Ooh, because I love that shot right there. That's my second money shot. And but actually the first thing I want to open today. Oh yeah, okay. It's a video. I have some things to say about this, and it's kind of interesting. Let me pull this over here in front of you. This is a show done out of Southern California called Whatever. And I was immediately looking at it like, oh, okay. This is like totally, in a certain respect, you know what it is? It's Fresh and Fit vibes. It's like this is a total copy of Fresh and Fit, except the environment, actually, this is a night one. I have a second video I'm going to play after this one, and I'll point out when it's daytime, you see all these palm trees out the window, and I'm like, oh my God, I love that. That's amazing, actually. But this studio itself is very boring. And I also am not a fan of these cups. Maybe you got these cups so that they would distinguish between the white table, because a white cup might be boring on the table. But I don't know about these cups. It gives me a feeling of cheapness. And I also, let me go back to the video here of it. It's also in the window here. I don't like, it looks like they have some accent lighting thrown up on these things, some red or purple light, where it says there, says whatever.com and at whatever. I mean, that's a cool name for a show. And so we're going to watch this right now. The topic is body count. And what I noticed about the guy driving the show, of course, he also, like Myron from Fresh and Fit, has a Stream Deck. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good producer setup. It's a beautiful room. I just think it's far too plain. But they have 3.5 million subscribers, so what the hell do I know? But what I'm noticing is that this man, white man here, I don't know his name yet. I'm going to get to know his name. Look, everyone in the world doesn't know who you are, man. Just like you don't know who I am, right? Me and all of my 1,000 subscribers. 1,000... a little tiny bit more than 1,000. Yeah, I don't think he commands the room with women. Like Myron just shuts women down, and women are like, okay, he's the boss. But this guy here, he's way more soft. He does not stand. I gotta watch more. Maybe he does it sometimes, but I'm watching this and I thought I get this feeling of a little bit more nice guy-itis from him, where he's a little too afraid to stand up to women when they're being silly or saying stupid things. But let's watch this right now. This guy is the guy who I'm referring to right now. This other guy here also, he takes the fifth on some things. Instead of, tell these women what you think, dude. That's what I would do. I'm starting fights with them because I think they're shallow, and I think they need to grow up, and they need to have good male role models in their life to set them straight. And you know what's weird? Right in the middle here, we'll see it in the second video that I play. There is a sex doll behind this chick. You see that blue hair right there? That's the outline, I believe, of what is a sex doll. And I don't think it's just a doll. I think it's a sex doll. I'm curious to know if that thing has orifices. If it does, it's like extremely freaking weird that you keep. Why have a doll in this? I want to ask him that. Honestly, I want to know that. But let's play this and just get into this. This is a 5-minute video clip, and it revolves around some things this kind of dingy girl right here is saying about body count. Let's just react to it, shall we? I shall.
Like it.
Well, do you think it's a desirable thing to have slept with over 100 people?
I know a lot of girls that are in college or that go to like, other colleges or universities, and their body counts are very high, and I feel like that's kind of normal. I guess if you want to have a high body count, have a high body count. For me personally, that's not something that I want because I don't.
Hold on. Got to show you something. This is relevant to me, okay, right here, to some of the things she says. Look at that, like, bearing your chest to the world, are you? And now I'm showing your chest, not to the world, I'm showing your chest to a very large subscription base, or very small subscription base. I want it to be large. I want my subscription base to be larger than these large breasts that you bear to the world to tempt men with your sinful lustiness. Yes. Look at this girl. Look at the attitude on this girl's face. Like, meh, meh. You can tell she's thinking something disparaging about something. I mean, these girls, they don't exude happiness to me. Look how she looks miserable. These girls, so she looks like she might be somewhat happy, but misery, arrogance, hubris. Middle one here, I don't know. She looks like she's in a trance thinking about some kind of guilt. And this one, she's not a very bright bulb, the one talking right now. And these two, this one's pretty. I'd like to see her face from the front. Let's see what happens.
Gain anything from sleeping with a bunch of
she's pretty actually. Gain anything?
Dudes.
You enjoy yourself is the point of sleeping with a lot of dudes. So let's keep going.
These girls want to. I don't know. It's not my place to say, oh, go do this, go do that. Don't sleep with all these guys. Sleep with less guys. That's not my place to say anything.
But actually, if you have a moral foundation in life, it is your place to say. I think it lowers the self-esteem of women, especially, to go and have a high body count. So maybe that's some kind of, oh, I want to be cool in front of a bunch of other girls. But if you have a moral foundation in life, you have some self-respect and you don't do that. And I'm not really having the debate right now about guys who go out and have a high body count. It's an entirely different thing biologically. But also, I'm specifically talking about women right now, and I'm not contrasting it to the morality of men doing it or not. I'm just talking about how I think it affects women. It lowers your self-esteem, whether you want to admit it or not. And when you're in a group like this, you think you're all cool being like, oh, yay, women can go and do it, whatever. It's not empowering, nor is it healthy for the spirit of the person to just have a lot of unhealthy sex acts. And actually what I want to say about it is, specifically, I think sex was intended to be a sacred thing between people, not just a shallow hedonistic thing to enjoy. And all we've done is taken the sacred out of it and turned it into this hedonistic thing, including all the way up to abortion on demand. It really takes away the personal responsibility someone should have to live their life in a healthy manner. Honestly. It's just what I'm thinking. This girl does annoy me,
and that's not my place to define her and call her.
She sounds very naive. It's not your place. Okay, so you have no moral judgments because you have no moral foundation in life. Or you're trying to look cool in front of other women who will judge you. You can't sit in a room like that and express an opinion. And then like a guy like me, I'm thinking, you're in a room where you're going to feel judged if you don't stick in the same area as these other girls. So whatever they're thinking is cool, you better follow along with that. And that's the problem with society. We're talking about collective groupthink. And so in your case, you're in this room with girls and you want to live up to their expectation that you're going to be cool, that you're going to be one of them. But I'd be much more impressed by a girl in these environments if she stood out like, no, I'm not going to think like these girls. I have these standards, and if they don't like it, tough fucking shit.
A 304.
Well, you can the more generous term would be to just say she's promiscuous. And I would say
more generous. Now that's a guy catering to, I want to be a little more nice. The way you just put it. And honestly, maybe I'm like that too. I was going to maybe like criticize that, but I have been known to call women sluts before, but it's like, it's not because I want to dehumanize that person, but you should know it's not honorable. It's just not the way I view life, is that living promiscuously, that's the sweetie term, sweetie pie nice term for being a slut. So why is the word slut much more disparaging than being promiscuous? They both have a negative connotation, but like it's just more insulting. That's why you said promiscuous right now, right? Whoever gave you $50 right now is nuts. And now he is into farting on people who I knew her back then. Oh, whatever. Come on, why does this stop?
Chatted $49.99. Anna, he is into farting on people I knew her back then.
Confirm or deny the farting accusations? Okay, she's denying.
Whatever.
My Little Pony 123. She is denying the farting accusations.
It's funny that they would send $49.99 too.
No kink shaming.
I don't know.
I will not yuck your yum if that's what you're in. Say.
I don't know.
No,
See, this guy's
farting.
much softer. Since I'm seeing this as a fresh and fit clone, and I'm like, I don't know how you would get all those women into your studio. And I would be, I mean, like, I don't know if this is your part of your house here in a high-rise building, but I would not want to invite a bunch of women I didn't know into my house. Like, what if one of them is a thief or something? Is this a group of girls who are all friends, or did you invite them all individually? Do you go out to clubs and you're like, hey, I do this video show, content creator. You want to be on it? Check it out. It's legit. Here's a video of it. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm self-absorbed. I want to come on and do it. Says somebody hosting and producing his own show. Me, you know. But let's keep going.
You know what?
I got to move through this thing or it's going to take me forever this morning.
Kinks a little bit. That could be interesting. But
softy. Okay, so this guy reminds me, he's a softy to me. And see, I'm getting like whiffs of femininity off of him.
Alvin Sam super chatted $49.99.
All these questions are about me. I love it.
You advise women to refrain from being a 304 and promiscuous, but you're not setting the example.
What's a 304?
Take a look at how you're dressed. That skin shows otherwise.
So just because I'm dressed the way I am, that means I'm a 304?
That means slut? Okay, is that what 304 means? But you know what? I don't know, but there's something to me. I was thinking this in bed this morning, and I've had this conversation before, that you're tempting people by what you do. And so if you tempt people to sin, like lust is a thing, and if you tempt people to sin, there's some kind of there's some kind of action you're taking to also be a mutual sinner with somebody. So I respond to that in a lustful way. It's arguable that that's sinning. And this girl still has this dim look on her face, like I'm bored to be here or I'm miserable or something. Same thing with these. Do you see the vacancy in the eyes of this chick over here? Oh, I said the word chick. I'm so bad. This one has the same fucking I know it all look. It's like it's not evolving as we get through this. It's a different moment, and they have these same. And this one over here on the far right, just strictly commenting on her beauty. I think she's probably the most beautiful in this bunch. And the one to her right, my left, this one right here, she's probably the second most beautiful in the bunch. That's right. I'm ranking them. They do that during beauty pageants. What, I can't say who I think the most pretty is? Usually I find myself the most attracted to the women on here that shut the hell up because they know that they're in a shallow environment, and I feel like they're being more modest by being quiet and not contributing in a vacuous way.
Yeah, I could say that I'm dressed a little promiscuous, but that doesn't define me. That
Freshandfitclone.com.
If I sleep around, doesn't define anything.
I actually don't think you're dressed particularly promiscuous.
Oh, you're being kind, dude. How would you like your 16-year-old daughter to go out dressed like that?
They just see some boobs and they freak out.
So do you want to shoot shots back at Alvin?
Boobs! Ah! It's just vacuous life. I don't know. I'm just not there anymore, but I do find this all fascinating.
He called you a
I am judging. Sometimes it's time. Let me know. Let me say this straight to you. Sometimes it's time to judge. Why not? You know?
Ford, do you want to say anything back to Alvin?
He doesn't know what I do.
What do you do?
What do you do?
What
I'm a
do you
nanny.
do? Oh, she's a nanny.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Watch
Nanny.
out. Nanny attack. Okay, so
A very good one.
She's like wearing the
You're a good
shortest
nanny.
skirt. What's the deal here? Do you have any? You're Southern California. Your skirt is short. Like that's way on the upper thigh right there. For God's sake. Oh, that's no big deal though. Okay, so this chick right here is looking a little judgy. She's still look at the vacant eyes in this one. She is just like vacant. What is her problem? Okay, this one's still got some kind of I know better, I'm judging. This one here is pretty too. Haven't heard much from like they don't all talk in these, you know. They're just pretty and they sit there.
okay. So
Fix your hair, darling.
okay, so we were talking about kind of promiscuity.
You don't drive this along, dude. And furthermore, you need to do sound treatment in there because you have a huge echo. Listen to the echo.
Ah, man, I love the TTSs, but
That's too much echo for a nice studio like that, dude. Put up some studio foam near the ground and it'll catch some of that. Maybe some of it on the roof. And throw some color in here. It would help if you threw some accent lighting in these white walls behind you. And during the day, it's going to be harder to see that accent lighting because you have it so open to the bright sky when you're doing stuff during the day. What the deal with this?
sometimes they distract me. But I keep going. But just saying.
You don't drive this well, dude.
Jesus Christ.
Come on, command
So-
it. Oh, okay, yeah. It's the fault of Jesus that you can't command the fucking room, dude. You own the mic. This is your studio. Command the fucking situation.
Can you
Just like Myron. That's what I enjoy about Fresh and Fit because he's like driving the chariot with 10 horses and he's like, woo! Psh!
What was your point?
About what?
Well, okay.
This
the
moves
previous
so
super chat
slowly.
Was
And they have
Oh,
3.5
thing?
million freaking subscribers. It's so slow and quiet. And there's no vibe in the room. And I don't think you have women with these dead eye looks like, does this woman look bored to you? Is that not the fucking face of boredom right there? I'm just getting, okay.
wait, is this
Saying too much about these silly
Or was it this
things,
one?
but whatever.
I'm trying to find it. God damn it.
Dude,
Oh, I think
wow.
it's this one.
Way to go.
How common is it that your friends
Good.
are promiscuous? Would you say your friends is 304 if her body count is over 100?
None of my friends have a body count over 100.
Well, I thought you said you knew some college girls that.
Yeah, I
went
know like
hard.
some friends that are like, oh, like my other friend is in college and they'll tell me about that. Like we'll talk about
Sure.
like maybe, I don't know, like I kind of thought for a while that I had a high body count, but then like I would hear about other girls like in their hundreds or like having higher body counts than
Mm-hmm. That's
me. And
funny.
I'm just like,
This reminds me of people who are of Christians who are like, well, I sin, but I don't sin as bad as that person. That person I don't think is going to come into consideration when you have to account for your life at the end.
oh, what really makes a high body? I don't really even like talking about body
$49
counts.
and
Yeah. Why don't you like talking about body count? Because it makes everyone like queasy because it's like, oh, I'm not a good person. I'm 304. That's funny that word that number basically means, okay, vacant eyes everywhere. Let's just keep going.
99 cents. No high-value man desires a woman with a high body count.
Truth.
Oh, E-dubs. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
But how would they know about their high body count?
You-
A girl
there's-
can lie.
That's true.
Oh, and that makes it okay. That girl is still going to show signs of super insecurity.
Yeah,
A man can
they
lie.
have certain symptoms.
On
so-
some level, a lot of women with a high body count know it's wrong. And they just repress it in their own minds. They're like, no. And it's a lot of delusion thinking that it's just, it's secularism at its worst when you think it just doesn't matter what I am, who I am. I'm not encouraging women to think that having a high body count is some kind of empowerment, and nor that comparing it to men who screw a bunch of women. That's not a valid justification for what you do. Well, men can do it, so I. Men probably shouldn't do it either. But like, we're wired differently.
Certain symptoms.
Do I give off that energy? High body count?
You're asking the wrong question.
I think the impression is high body count. But what counts as high body count? At your age, if you've had 15 guys, I would say that's a high body count. I would feel nervous marrying, if I were a younger guy and I married a 25-year-old girl who had a 15-guy body count, that makes me nervous. I don't think I would like that.
Does it give that off?
No comment.
See, that's a yes. And you guys, this guy here in the suit, it's like you're not telling her what you think, dude. Command the topic. Okay, here's another look of dead eyes or boredom. The dead eyes of the whatever show. It's just called whatever. Yeah, whatever. Oh,
Brian?
man.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking both of you.
I don't think.
Way to go, Brian. Okay, your name's Brian, and you drive this show like a. You know what we need on this show is a tractor, and you're like a shovel.
You have a high one.
You have a room full of gorgeous women, and there's funny shit. You have a volcano you can dive in and swim in, and you're like, what, me? What?
I don't.
And he has the sex doll. That is cringe. What's with the sex doll? Does the doll behind the middle girl here with the dead eyes have orifices? And I'm asking because it's just creepy. What's with the sex doll?
a low one.
What is?
And I'm not saying no to a sex doll, okay? I don't have a sex doll. But what I am saying is in this environment, given the topical nature of it, it's like, what's the deal with the sex doll?
ITU.
It depends on how old are you, 21?
Yeah.
I don't think it's over 20. Is it over 20?
No.
Okay.
She just said lie. You could be lying. You look like a woman who could have, because it's just like oh man, whatever. Conclude this bore.
I mean, it depends.
I don't know how much
where-
I'll be coming back to this show except to make fun of them a little, because there's some kind of potential here that's not being realized. And they might be like, well, dude, I have 3 million subscribers. What do you have? And it's like, well, I don't care. When I hear what you're doing, the room is quiet. You're not driving it. I'm alone in my room here, and I exude way more energy than you do. Myron from Fresh and Fit is like energy supreme in that environment. You gotta fucking dive into these circumstances, dude. How long have you been doing this? Like, have a little more confidence.
you're at. Some people think more than 5 or more than 10 is a high body count. Here in Southern California,
SoCal.
it's pretty rough.
Oh man, I don't know. That's just.
Do you
Yeah. Whatevs. Okay, I'll come back over here and I will go to the second video from these guys. Okay, it's whatever also, and this is where I wanted to just.
Yeah, I made my first
Okay,
boyfriend
so-
wait 3 years.
Okay, so that is an interesting topic. How this girl made her first boyfriend wait 3 years. They were both virgins, and then when he finally got it from her, they broke up. And she does seem like a dim bulb to me. Sorry. And this is during the day in this studio,
Yes.
and that's what I wanted to.
and that
To
was the
demonstrate
first guy
here.
that you
Yeah.
hooked up with. Okay,
Yeah.
3 years.
3
Oh.
years, and then he broke up with me a week after. So
3 years. Wait, hold on.
Okay, now look at this. He has the doll here, and the doll looks damn near underage. Do you know what I mean? So, what's the deal with the doll? I have owls here. They're not here to be a sex symbol. What's the deal with the doll on whatever? What the hell is that? It's not whatever. Does the doll have orifices? Inquiring minds want to know.
Whoa,
What the hell
hold
are you
on.
doing, man?
You made him wait 3 years, and then he broke up with you
the week after we did.
the week after. Are you capping?
No, I'm not.
You're,
He's a shitty fucking human.
Man.
yo,
She's burned.
Hold on.
Oh, okay. Now let's look at this here, okay? Love this background outside. I love palm trees. I love the climate of California. So that does give a lot of character to this room, but you still have a problem with the sound, and the table's very plain to me. Like, I feel like you could do something to spice the table up with something. And I don't know why I hate all the shitty fucking bottles and cups everyone has there. He's using the same cups here. Maybe he colored those cups to give it some character, but they're not a decoration. They're a cheap-ass cup. And I am a little critical of what other people do. And you have an amazing environment here. You have good gear, and I feel like you're using the outside decoration. That's fantastic. It's not the ideal time of day to be doing this either. Like, if you were doing that at sunset, you could get some of that cross. It looks like the sun is up very high in the sky instead of getting the dramatic lighting from the side, is all I'm saying.
So
You and your sex doll, dude. You should force these girls to sit next to the sex doll. You should put it like in a chair in between the girls. That sex doll, actually, I do think it's cringe, but I think there's some kind of funny element to it, and I want to commend you. I don't think I would do that, but I like it, and I think you should do more with it. You should impose that sex doll between these women, and it can be your subtle way of ruling the frame in this situation. But it's sitting next to you. Do you know that makes you look like cringy, dude? This is the like soft guy. I think this was from over 6 months ago, and I'm blown away. This has 3.5 million subscribers because this is not exactly compelling dialogue here.
Only had sex once or a couple times.
Nope.
The eyes are not as dead as that other group, though. This is a whole different group of women, and it seems like, you know, they are more into what they're doing here. Maybe it's the sunlight outside. I don't know.
Just once.
Just one time,
Just
and he
once.
broke up with
Just
you.
one time.
You know what you should do if you want to make this cool? Instead of having these fucking stupid cups, get some really nice glasses. And actually, I mean, because it would look cool. It would look more classy. And I think it would elevate the look in here a little bit. And you see, and with colored drinks, get some juices in there. Make it look like wine. You know, even serve up certain types of drink. Offer them a beer or something. But then it'll be like, oh no, I'm plying them. That would be wrong. I'm grooming them. Whatever. No, it's like I don't know if you get releases for this or what. If they come in there, they can just say, you know, they're there because they want to be there. Anyone who wants to leave is free to leave. But I think you can do better, buddy.
Hold on.
Brian from whatever. You know, one of the things that pisses me off is when I'm discussing things, and sometimes it's in an argument with somebody, and when I'm dismissed saying substantive things and they go, whatever, it actually does piss me off because it's dismissive and it's rude. It's like, it's just like dismissing something that's important to someone else and you don't give a shit. So I don't like, the name is a clever name for a show. I'm sure that helps you. And so whatever, you're like, hey, I do a show called whatever. Well, what the hell does that mean? Whatever. Come on, man. What? This is weird. It's inconsistent. I'm not changing anything. What? I'm not doing anything. What the hell is this?
Hold on. You're being honest,
I'm
right?
being honest.
You're telling the truth.
I am telling the truth.
I actually don't want to continue on with this, but I just wanted to show you his creepy little sex doll here, underage looking sex doll. And I do love the background here, but I think if you want to get the real money shot with that stuff out of the windows, you do it at a certain time of day where it would look mind-blowing. And at nighttime, it would be awesome if you're in like a place where they could put spotlights up underneath the tree. At nighttime, if you lit those trees from underneath, you would get a great cinematic look. But then, like, you know, I don't know, you're always at the mercy of the outside like that when you do that, whatever the weather's like. And so if it's a cloudy day, it's going to look dreary. And so I don't know about that as a background. I put this here because I like being able to control it. This can be whatever I want it to be. Excuse me. That's right. When it comes to burping, if 304 meant a slut with burping, I am a 304. Let's move on, shall we? Okay, I'm done talking about whatever. You know, feel free to check that out. Where am I here? Do I have this? What window am I on here? I need another monitor here eventually when I upgrade my system so that I can see Sometimes I'm covering up my screen here where I see what camera I'm on, and that annoys me. And so what I'm going to do here, and come back here and be like, what up? That's where I am. Okay, I see the live program now. That will be helpful on top there now that I see that for what it is. Except when I zoom in, it won't be there anymore, so I still need the monitor. What are you talking about, Paul? Okay, what do I want to watch first? Okay, I actually want to watch this first. Move this over here. Want to see, is it just going to play? Where's the sound button?
Pregnant people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. Let me start this over again.
The leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people?
Mm-hmm.
Mothers? Women?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers, but if you'd like to call them that.
What are they? If they're not mothers?
She's insufferable. Within so many fucking few syllables of talking, she's insufferable. Identity. Let me talk more about that.
They're pregnant people.
What?
Wait. Gotta see something here. Dag nabbit. Frickin' frick. It's exactly the mistake I made because I don't have the monitor like I was just saying. Let me start this over one more time so that you can get the entire impression of this chick's face.
You know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people?
Mm-hmm.
Mothers? Women?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers, but if you'd like to call them that.
What are they if they're not mothers?
So smug.
They're pregnant people.
What people other than mothers are pregnant?
Does it bother you to use inclusive language?
I prefer to use
And that's so empty and vacuous. Just let me keep it playing.
precise language.
It's interesting because you come into this conversation.
Yes, words are supposed to mean something. It's interesting because here she's going to get all self-righteous and smug and full of hubris. She's talking about how she identifies with the world, and fine, you want to be that way, be that way. You're being critical of him because he identifies with the world in a different way, and words are supposed to mean something. It used to mean something very specific when you said mother. There's an actual definition to it that makes sense. It comports to the reality of the world. And so people are like, and that's what this woman is doing. She has this stuck-up attitude about, well, words can just mean whatever I want them to mean. I can say whatever I want, and I can redefine them, and no big deal. And you're the bad one if you don't accept my random, arbitrary definition of things. Never mind that words used to mean something. You're a bad person, is what I hear from her.
Trying to hold this moral superiority.
Oh, that's exactly what you're doing, though. You have this haughty, I am right attitude. Why? Why are you right? What makes you right in this context right here, pointing this out? It's that you're pretty. It's that you're a woman. Nothing about that is a foundation for truth in and of itself. You have to say something that's meaningful. This is emotionalism in a certain way at its worst. I feel a certain way.
I try to be moral when I can, but I...
Right, but when I use inclusive language, which...
I can't stand that fucking word, inclusive. It's like it's just used as this, you're not as good as me. We're better people than you, inclusive. Because why is it the vast majority of people that live life, okay? Life to me is a certain set of truths. And it might be that the vast majority of people feel that way. The vast majority, most people. And so we have to cater to the feelings of people who somehow see the world differently. It doesn't mean you can't exist and see the world differently and even take pride in being different. You have to impose it on us. And that is where it becomes ideological in nature. Like every time she uses the word inclusive, it cringes me and it does trigger me because it's this, I'm better than you. I know better just because I know better. And it's like you're judging. You're the type of person who's going to be labeling, and it's repugnant to me. So it does trigger me a little bit, to be honest with you.
It only takes a couple extra syllables to use inclusive language.
To include who?
See? You're imposing it. You're saying this person's a bad person because they refuse to talk the way I feel they should talk. Never mind that words historically have a conventional definition.
To include people who don't, identify as women but can become pregnant.
And that, what you just said, is part of the problem. That's not objective in reality. There has been a word for mother for time immemorial, and it's only recently that people have this kooky way of, it's just a social construct. I don't want to talk that way. And then you impose it on others. So you're not being inclusive of this guy, actually. That's the irony here, okay? You're not being inclusive of this guy who doesn't see things the same way. You're saying, what I say is important. Never mind what you think. You're not being inclusive. All you have to do is use a few more syllables and you'll be inclusive. I don't agree with that. And so it's like you're disrespectful to you're not being inclusive of other people who don't see it the same way. And these are certainly arbitrary subject matter. Ridiculous, dude. And she's pompous about it. She's haughty. That's what bugs me. I'm so morally superior compared to you. It does rub me the wrong way. Because it's this identity fucking politics it's not sustainable in society, okay? It's not sustainable because it's not based in truth. If you're not based in truth, we're going to have a really hard time going forward with one another. It's always going to be a constant source of conflict. The cultural war it's real. It's actually happening. I feel like I've been sucked into this war. A lot of people have, to be honest with you. I know you love seeing me drink. You know. Right, Copy? I know where we got that idea from. And it's not gratuitous. I actually do like, it's easier than unscrewing the top of my water bottle. And never mind you, Jules. I'm just goofing. Coming back here. What do we have next? It's wokeness at its finest, continuing with Emma Watson, who played Hermione on Harry Potter, okay? Oh, this girl. Yeah, I'm calling you a girl. Is that offensive? Doesn't really matter, right? So here's a tweet from End Wokeness is what it's called. The Twitter handle. And it says, why does wokeness do this? So here's a beautiful young lady here. And you know what bugs me about the Harry Potter cast, especially Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson is, let me just make sure I'm on the right screen here once more, because I've been making that mistake. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why is it all the way up there? What the heck happened? Okay. We want to get this in the center here. Okay. So, yeah, actually, what bugs me about this, to be perfectly honest with you, let me just come up here to this and go like that for now. Like that better. I'll zoom in on it like that. What? This is just, oh, inconsistent. I mean, what do you think of that, guys? Which is the objectively attractive woman? The one on the left where she has long hair that's done up in a style? On the right, it's like, what's going on here? Are you rewarded for that? I go back to something I have said before about how the irony, it's savage irony. Women say men are bad. Being a man is bad. Masculinity bad. And yet, ironically, then a lot of these same women saying that and doing things in life to put forth that ideology, then they want to be like men. They want to look like men. They want to have the best of both worlds, and you can present yourself anything you want. And it's with Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson. I think they're more exemplary examples of people who are in the Hollywood entertainment world limelight. And it's like, if you like this, if you like being treated like royalty and you want to stay here, then you have to continue to comport to these values. You have to push these values. You have to promote these values. It's ironic, too, because the lady who wrote the Harry Potter series, who the hell was that? What's her name? Hold on. Harry Potter author is what I'm going to look up right now. Potter author. J.K. Rowling is her name. Like, so she's in the limelight lately for not comporting to the crazy mores of the whack, woke world, the secular culture that is just running away. I was just, let me open this one more thing right here. This is interesting, because I sent this off to my cousins in a Telegram post. Where the hell is my Telegram program on here? Here we go. And it might take a moment to load. And I'm going to show it to you right now. We're going to go to Chat AP. And we're going to look at that right here. Where's my group with my cousins here? And this is interesting, okay? So I'm going to show you this. This is something I pulled up yesterday. I saw it on Twitter. So this is Sam Smith. He just performed at the was it the Golden Globes or the Grammys or something? That's him. And to me, I personally think that is like some kind of very creepy person there. There's nothing about that I find appealing whatsoever. Like, what are you doing? And the performance at the Grammys was exceedingly satanic, in my view. Like, that's disgusting. And so you have Andrew Tate next to him, which is really what I wanted to point out also. Let me make sure that I'm okay, yeah, I'm cool over here. Andrew Tate, a real role model who's empowering people, helping people be more confident, especially men, like ladies who have their heads screwed on straight in the world. Do you like Sam Smith? Is that something we want to aspire to as a society? I don't think so. I think he's a total pig. I don't like that. There's nothing about that I find decent. That's the decline of society on display right there. I really detest it. He's a total pig. And I'm not going to say anything nice about that guy ever. And that performance at the Golden Globes, was it? Or the Grammys? Whatever the fuck it was the other day with the satanic performance. I don't like it. It's heinous. Like, you personify the decline of society, and so is Madonna lately too. She's gross, looking all like the character from the movie Saw. Forget the name of that. Jay something. What's the evil character from the movie Saw? I'm gonna look that up real quick because I'm just curious. Bad guy from the movie Saw. Okay. No, that's not it. The Jigsaw. That's not him right there, though. It's more like the puppet I'm thinking of. That is okay. So see, this is Madonna right here. Okay, that's what Madonna looks like now. Hello, Madonna, sweetie pie. Thank you for your contribution to immoral society in decline because you're so self-absorbed. This is a weird show this morning. I don't feel like I'm mixing my very best. What's up next that I have here? Oh, yeah. This is the Joe Rogan clip that I definitely want to go through and play right here, okay? Let's just zoom that forward an itty-bitty bit and hear this conversation they're talking about. I do like it. It's a good combo. Let us go over here and hear it.
I was like 20 and you
Ever?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
How old are you?
Because this reminds me of it.
These guys are talking about bullies and fighting.
It was about Newton South.
Oh, okay.
Cafeteria. I'm 55.
55 too. I'm 55.
Okay,
as well.
so we must have both been around 20. When you started
49, and I am going to, as these guys talk about some of their experiences on the along the lines of bullying and getting in fights, I'm going to also bring up some of that in my own life.
Somebody, you were 21?
Yeah.
All right, so I must have been the same age. But we talked about fight because I found out you were a Taekwondo guy or something. Is that what you fought?
Yeah.
And I asked you about fights. Like I said, do you have skills for fighting in real life? And you said, well, there's just some things you know that are they put you way at advantage with people that aren't fighters. Like you don't wait for the fight to start. You told me. Like you told me you were in a cafeteria once in South and some kid came up and, people think they're going to get to do a preamble. They think that there's going to be a whole, hey, fuck you. And now they think there's going to be like,
yeah.
And as soon as.
Just what I want to add to what he's saying there is I had a friend in college who said once, when you get into those situations where you have a good idea if this is really going to wind up getting into a physical altercation. And if the answer is that it is going to be a physical altercation for sure, the law may see it differently. But his advice, this friend of mine, his name was Eric, He said, you know you're going to get in that fight, hit first. Like strike first, because it's to your advantage to do that. If you're going to like, and another thing he said was, if one of us is going to wind up in court or the hospital, I'm going to be the guy in court. I'm not going to be the guy in the hospital. And I thought that was interesting. I'm not necessarily saying, you have to be very careful though. You have to know you're going to get in that fight and that it's going to come to blows. I know that my cousin who's watching, he once told me strike first and strike hard. And again, I think that's when you realize and you know you're going to get in a fight, you strike because it's to your advantage to do so. Why would you want to be the person who's hurt? Of course you want to walk away from a fight if that's possible. You don't want it to come to blows. You don't even want to get in that situation. But if it is going to materialize in a physical altercation and you have no way out of it logically, don't be that guy who gets hit first, knocked out. And it's funny how a lot of guys, there's the preamble. It's like, if there's the preamble, there's the opportunity to get out of that situation probably.
You knew
I usually, in the past, I didn't strike first. It was like, as soon as someone throws a fist, I got in a fight when I was 18 with this guy. I don't remember his name. He smacked me through a car window and like this light went on, like I am going to kick his ass. And I got out of the car and I clobbered him in the face so freaking hard. It was like in the side of the head. And, that guy didn't bother me anymore because we went to school together. And the following Monday, we were both in detention together. It was a room full of people with detention. And I stared at him in that room like I was going to kill him. And I think he was like freaked out because, you know, I'm not claiming to be any kind of great fighter at all. Quite the contrary. I need to stay out of fights because I don't do it well. But like, truly, once I reach a level of being super pissed, I'm beyond the point, and I'm not talking about domestic arguments. I'm talking about a fight between a man and a man, me and a man. Like, if you slap me on the face, you know, I'll probably be scared and avoid it if I think you can genuinely kick my ass. But you better be sure you can kick my ass because I go into fucking anger mode, and it's not good to be angry when you're fighting. I get that. But I go into anger mode and it's like that fear kind of goes away with the anger. And that's not a good state to be in because crazy wins. Like my Uncle Joe once said when I was talking to him, he's like, oh yeah. He's kind of like that. He's got an Italian accent, but he said, you might be able to win in a fight with someone, but are you more crazy? Because crazy wins. And I sadly think that's true.
Is there to threaten you, you just punched him in the sternum and he just went down. He's like, hey man, ooh. And then he just
hello.
Anyway, so that was the first time you'd explain that to me.
Yeah, that could have been avoided. I thought about that one for a lot afterwards.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think you jumped the gun?
Sometimes you jump the gun because like there with great power comes great responsibility.
Sure.
You know, the guy
Sure.
Where'd you
had
get
no
that,
chance.
Joe?
He was just bowing up.
Right.
He was just a knucklehead.
Yeah.
I should probably let him slide. You know?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's interesting how he has that perspective in retrospect. And younger guys full of testosterone and hormones are a lot more aggressive. And when they get older, they start mellowing out. I see Joe Rogan as a guy who's mellowed out over age, after time, with age after time. And another person, so it reminded me as he was having this discussion, Tony Iommi, the guitarist in Black Sabbath, in his book, it talks at length, his autobiography, it talks at length about how when he was young, he got into all kinds of fights. And I was like, damn, I would have been scared of that guy when I was younger. Used to bully Ozzy Osbourne, but it reminded me of that because I think with age, the man has truly mellowed out, and that's what happens. So you want to navigate, you know, the rough terrain of being young and aggressive, where you wind up at the other end where you didn't get hurt or you didn't hurt anyone. It scares me a little when I know Joe's a tough guy, and when he talks about how he punched a dude.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like you could kill somebody hitting them in the sternum, right? You could throw their heart into some kind of weird arrhythmia and they could die. That could be your destiny. I've seen guys punch a guy and he goes down on the ground and he goes into like, and if you permanently damage someone like that, your life is over. You're going to get in trouble for causing that person grievous harm. So you have to be cautious. In movies, it's like people throw punches, people get hurt, and then nothing comes of it. It's like, oh, it's done. No one got hurt. But I had a teacher in high school. Her name was Mrs. Tallman. It was very funny because she was a short woman, but her name was Mrs. Tallman. And she had a brother who was a boxer who I think got brain damage or died from boxing. It was like some kind of brain aneurysm or something when he got hit in the head. It's dangerous, dude. We're not meant to take high impact to our bodies. That's why football is not safe. We're not meant to take super high impact hits to our bodies, and it's dangerous. And that's a sort of separate topic from the bullying and the fighting stories that they're recounting right now. Come on.
Probably let them slide.
That's funny. Yeah, I think that's how you've changed too. Because you were really wired then. You were tightly wired.
Well,
that's what I remember too. Joe, I've seen clips of him when he was younger and he was more aggressive. I find that interesting. He's much more like chill, serene guy right now. Well, after you have $1 million, it's like, I've won. Or $100 million or whatever. It's like, yeah, I got this. I have won the lotto in life. I've accomplished everything that I was meant to accomplish, and now it's all downhill from here, brother.
About like me being 15 or 16.
That's right.
Yeah, it was.
And a trained fighter at a young age.
And I'm not goofing on Joe at all. I actually really appreciate that he is as popular as he is, and I think that's because people are thirsty for the truth, and that's why they watch this show, because there are topics discussed of great importance. It's why he's so controversial in the mainstream, because he's saying the verboten. And so I'm thirsty for that truth, and I appreciate him for that reason. And I'm not just kissing his ass. Twice when I was younger, I had booked him to come on and talk to me when I was doing a radio show. I announced to my people and my audience that he was coming on, and he just ghosted me. He disappeared. And maybe it wasn't him. It was through MySpace, and I'm reasonably certain it was him, but I'm not positive it was him. So come on, Joe. You owe me for dissing me twice. I left people hanging. I announced you were coming on, and you dissed me. True story.
And it's also
honestly.
like you got this thing you want to try out. It's like you got a fast car, you want to hit the gas.
Yeah, of course.
So let's see what happens.
Of course.
This guy.
Yeah,
because people, in high school, you're kind of trying out bowing up on people.
Right.
I realize it's fun. Another time when I was young, I was at a party, and this really diminutive little wimp named Ron was he wanted to like beat someone up, so he picked me for some reason. Not a wise move. And I was like definitely not diving into it because I knew I could handle this kid. And so finally it came to him throwing a punch at me, and somehow I remember blocking it. We wound up on the ground, and I just was tagging him in the face repeatedly. And all these guys pulled us apart, and I got kicked out of the party, and I think he did too, probably. And that kid never bothered me again after that. But you have to be wise. So it's like stand up to a bully. There was a bully who bullied me in the 7th grade. He made my life hell, and I was actually afraid to go to school. I thought he was going to kill me, this guy named John Hernandez. And he was substantially stronger than I was. And so it's like that's something you have to navigate, someone you have to avoid, because he would have easily snuffed me out in a fight. Like I wouldn't be able to stand up to him. Although I tell you, I get loopy with my temper though. And one time we were playing floor hockey in the gym, and I had a hockey stick, and I got pissed off and I broke it on his leg on purpose. And then he's chasing me around, and the teacher's like, "Stop!" And but years later, I was at this restaurant called Bennigan's down here in Northglenn, which is now demolished. It's not there anymore. And I was at the bar with my friend Christopher, and we were getting very drunk, as we used to do. And across the room, I saw this guy sitting at the table with this lady, and I didn't recognize him at first, but I had this visceral reaction, like my body elevated this sort of what is it called? Flight or fear? What's that expression called? I got freaking nervous and scared. It was some kind of instinctual reaction. Fight or flight. And I went to the bathroom and I was like, oh my God, that's John Hernandez. And he had like mellowed out a shit ton. And we wound up talking a little bit. And I told him he used to scare the shit out of me. He's like, really? And the girl he was with is like, I don't imagine that about him at all. And he wound up getting into some criminal trouble, I think, even as a young adult. And so maybe he came out the other end better, I would hope. But he used to terrify the shit out of me for an entire school year in the 7th grade. I was terrified to go to school. After the school year was over, I told my parents, I don't want to go back to school in the fall. And somehow it miraculously resolved itself because I think he went to classes for troubled kids, and I went to more intelligent classes, and it was like we diverted and so I wasn't in the same classes anymore, and that guy finally left me alone. But that was one of the worst bullying examples I have in my life, where it was just hell for me. I hated it.
It's a pretty
my life sucked.
Nuanced thing to ask a kid that age to know, like how to back off. I don't need to fight you.
Yeah. No, it's hard. It's hard for kids. I just watched this horrible brawl today.
Jesus, dude. They're making the greatest point that was true in my life too. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, but someone keeps nagging at you. And sometimes you have to make a judgment call if you are able and willing to put that person in their place. Because sometimes when you do, that person backs off and they leave you alone. But you have to have the discernment, because there is a real chance people can get hurt at a young age. I have seen crazy violent shit unfold on people when I was younger. These crazy guys kicking other guys in the head and like trying to stomp. I've heard stories of people stomping on the heads of others, and I don't like that. I remember when I got in a fight with that little diminutive Ron, like people were calling me Mike Tyson because I was just like, and they were like, whoa, we didn't expect that. It's like when you're fucking attacked, you have to stand up for yourself, and you have to deliver sometimes when you have no choice, and they will leave you alone. Some people, you will earn their respect and they'll leave you alone if you fucking make it abundantly clear, don't fuck with me. And it's like, I have a lot of patience in life. This is honest to God true. You can walk all over me, but when you cross that line, you'll see that I go from 0 to 100 in about 1 second. And I'm not anything formidable at all. But you know, if part of the strategy is with certain people to scare them, that can fucking make a motherfucker back down when they realize. But you're asking for it if you're like dealing with a bully who's like not afraid of you at all. But someone who can be scared away from the situation, that's a good thing. Scare them away if you can discern that. But sometimes it's just like you flip the switch in your head and you're pissed off and you can't deal with it. I've lashed out at people before, and I'm not exactly proud to admit that. Like, I've definitely lashed out at people. Even people who, at the time when I was younger, that didn't deserve it. And I look back at some things and I feel bad about it. And it's just the learning process of life. I'm sorry for how I bullied some people when I was younger unjustly. So you grow up, you mellow out. You grow up, you realize what was wrong. This other guy, Chad, who used to bully me, I remember a year or two after he bullied me in junior high, he actually came up and said, I'm sorry. He said, I'm sorry people grow up, and I'm sorry that I treated you like that. And I was like, whoa, that means a lot, to be honest with you, because you go on in your mind thinking, fucking asshole. But when someone genuinely comes up and says they're sorry for what was definitely immature behavior when they were younger, that's helpful, I think. When people take personal responsibility. I've done that before. I can think of a couple people in my life. I can think of 2 distinct people I would like to apologize to for how I treated them. One was a neighbor named Kevin Wong. He was a Chinese immigrant that was adopted by the neighbor, and I was always so mean to him. And I'm so sorry that I did that. I should have been nice to that kid. I should have been welcoming. If I were like the person I am now, I just would have made him feel like welcome in the United States. I would have made him feel comfortable. I would have stood up for him because a lot of people picked on him. And I was like a lot of kids are, especially kids are impressionable in this way. They go along with the crowd. Oh, the crowd's bullying that person. I can't be cool to that person, even though I feel bad about being mean to that person. Another dude was named Joey that my friend and I used to goof on pretty hard. I would apologize to him if I saw him. I would apologize to another guy named Greg too, because I just feel that's what you go through in life, and I've been humbled through the hardship of life, not to treat people with such disrespect for no reason. I do it here, I goof on people here, but if I met them in person, I'd be cordial. That's honest to God the truth. Everyone, even Hunter Avalon, if I met him in person, I wouldn't shit all over him, but he is a little ding dong. He needs to be put in his place a little bit, but it wouldn't be a physical altercation. Yeah, I don't think Hunter's a physical fighter. He's like a little runt like me who goes online and criticizes people, but I don't know. I'm trying to have some kind of moral foundation for what I'm doing. I'm trying to steer myself a certain way. I don't want to define myself on here as the world's biggest asshole and then be a good guy in real life, but then have people reacting to the asshole all the time. That's not what I want to do. I don't know. Some people will get that, some people won't, but let's move on. There's more of this I want to see for a couple minutes. We're getting long here on the show.
That someone had put up on Twitter. In a high school, it was terrible, where like all these kids were fighting in the hallway and teachers were trying to separate it, and this one kid threw this kid to the ground and punched him unconscious, and the kid went into a seizure. And I'm like, oh God.
That's what I was talking about. I think I saw that same
awful.
one. I think I saw the same thing he's talking about, and I was like, oh my God, if that kid's permanently brain damaged, your life is ruined because you just hit him, you knocked him into the floor, and you kept pounding on him. And that's what, excuse me though, sometimes. Here's another thing. If you're in a fight, I'm not the type of person, after someone has clearly lost, I will fucking call it and I will stop. That's the difference between being a fucking psycho animal and someone who still has a tether to reality. I see people unconscious in these videos online where people start pounding on them. They're unconscious and there's like a mob of people punching them and kicking them in the face and the head and the body. And it's like all those people should go to jail to me. To me, they should definitely go to jail for doing that. I'm going through it in my head right now, thinking about it. It makes me very uncomfortable. I don't like it when people are wild animals like that. I wouldn't do that to anybody. Wild animals who attack people like that don't deserve their freedom. They need to be put away for a while. And I know that a lot of young guys make those mistakes. They wind up in prison, and all of a sudden, they will change and they'll grow in prison, hopefully. In some cases, they'll just become worse criminals, and when they get out, something more nightmarish will happen. A lot of imperfections in society.
A lot of it is people that just don't know how to fight, and they don't know how to defend themselves, and then they're fucking
I don't claim to be a tough guy at all. I know I said that before. I'm not. I've done some fight training, and I know I've improved when it comes to self-defense. Got to be careful in this world because you can even get in trouble for legitimately defending yourself. Like, I think if someone breaks into your house at night and you have kids in your house and a wife, you should be able to kill that person because you don't belong here and it's abundantly clear. That should be the law, period. Cut and dry. But it's like, oh no. It's strange how it is, it's political. It's the political binary. Like, the people on the right say you should be able to defend yourself in a situation like that, and the people on the left are like, no, guns are bad. You killed that person and he wasn't really threatening your life. But I say, if you break into someone's house, even if you're on their property and you make them feel threatened, they should be able to take you out because it's like, dude, this is my fucking property. Get the fuck out of here. You don't belong here. Don't break in the first place. And then they charge. So this is definitely on the political spectrum where the left likes to punish people for self-defense, and that's really a problem.
Wildly at each other, and this one guy knew something, and he threw this guy to the ground and punched him out. Fucking, this school's so dangerous. It's so dangerous because kids are just starting to get testosterone.
And yeah, dude, that's what I've been saying. And they are in a stage where they are dangerous. A 19-year-old kid who has a chip on his shoulder is extremely fucking stupid and dangerous.
and they're just starting to become like strong and like like almost a man.
And out of lopsided too, because there's other kids who just didn't kick in yet.
That perceived strength just makes you a target.
Tiny.
Yeah. Well, these kids were. There was none of that. They were similar sized, but it was just awful. It's just awful.
There's also weird.
This is a guy who used to be so aggressive, and he would like be in a fight.
In school. For kids that age,
You went soft on us, Joe. Actually, I'm just kidding. You grew up, and I commend anybody who grows up.
It's
for
intricate.
real.
Like I remember I saw a lot in my high school fights that were between friends, because there's always somebody who wants people to fight. There's always somebody who doesn't fight but wants a fight to happen. Everybody wants to see it. So you take a kid who's trying to get some kind of status with a certain group, and they go, why are you friends with that guy? Like that guy's a pussy. And they actually turn him on. They want to see if they can make a kid fight a friend of his. I saw that.
I am not proud to say that when I was younger, these friends and I used to camp out in the middle of the night, and we used to go around doing all kinds of bad stuff in the middle of the night. TPing people. It wasn't like ultra criminal. I have more stories. There's some interesting stories, but right now I'm thinking about how the morning after, we were all tired because we were up all night. We would walk all over the neighborhood, very far away. Used to be like rotten little evil peeping Toms. And so we were playing basketball in the morning. We were all tired, short on sleep, and I got into a fist fight with one of my friends who I still like very much to this day. What's up, Mike? And so I kneed him in the face. And that was very wrong. And in the course of this fight, I kneed him in the face, and I sprained my hand punching him. I sprained it pretty badly. I was fucked up for a while. I had to go to the doctor to check it out, but it was just a sprain. And I chipped his tooth. And then after all this it was like, I fucking punched you. I kneed you in the face, and you want more? Like, if you're going to be in a fight and it's really going to be a fight and you got to protect yourself, be more crazy. But at that age, I was just being a little shit. We shouldn't have been in that fight. We were both dipshits. And he poked and prodded me a lot with a lot of stupid shit at the time. And I just remember him after getting his tooth chipped. He's like, come on, Paul, you son of a bitch, you son of a bitch. He wanted to continue fighting. It's like, did you not just see me knee you in the face and chip your tooth, and I punched you, and I knew my hand was hurt at that point, so we had to stop. But it sucked. I feel bad looking back at that because I actually recall this individual with a lot of fondness. He's someone in the past who I have literally emulated and copied because he was always that cool kid doing the cool things. That's what I'm doing here, right, Copy? That's why this is called Copy Who. Holy shit, you know what I'm talking about. There's a point to what I'm saying. It's that we emulate and copy people we admire, and sometimes we even wind up at odds with these people. So the people who see what I'm doing here, this is just a copy of so-and-so. It's inspiration, and he should take flattery from it. But I happen to know that the person who should take flattery from it in the past came after me, and he would again. I know he would. But it's really inspiration. I'm really super grateful because that's a story of bullying. The person I'm copying here, in certain respects, it's obvious, but this is also very different. It's very distinguished in my own way. These TVs look like his setup. Not these ones down here, but this one and this one, the way I zoom in on stuff, that all came from him. It's not the first time I took from him in the past when I needed a template how to do things. It made what I was doing better, and it paved a road for me. But now, like, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for that bomb to drop. It's like, is it going to hit today? Every time I read a show description, I'm like, is he going to start bullying me? And I don't give a fuck. Try it, dude. Come on. Every time you did in the past, seriously, it's like been there, done that. And every time you did in the past, honestly, for real, I met people. I connected with people. But anyway, let me continue with these guys here.
So many times.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of kids that were tough but had a head, smart kids who were, I remember this one kid, his name was Chris, and his friend Doug was pushed into like, I'm going to kick your ass. And Chris could have beat Doug, but he just started crying because it was too much.
Yeah, pressure.
And he didn't want to fight his friend, and he could hurt his friend real bad. And he's isolated. Everybody's around him. He's like now the kid, the fag, you know. And he just started crying.
Oh my God, you're using that word. Lordy. Is that word allowed now again? Or you're Louis C.K. and you've been canceled up the ass. So like, so it's like, whatever now. You can do what you want now. You survived what you survived. And so, but anyway, what he's saying is true. Young guys, there's just so much peer pressure with young guys, that raging testosterone, but it's a different reality that we're living in now because the genders are at war and they're also being convoluted from a social standpoint. So like we have all these traditional cis male, I hate that fucking term. Shame on me for using it now. There are all these traditional cis male behaviors that God knows what they're like today in the schools. They're clamping down on bullying, but then they'll bully you for not accepting someone's identity, which is in fact not accepting your identity. You identify with things one way. They identify with things another way. They think they're right, so they are going to treat you like a piece of shit and not be inclusive about you and where you're coming from. It's fucked up. I like doing this in the morning in the sense that I can go long and I feel like I'm not being interrupted and I don't have something else to do. So doing this in the morning is a good thing. You know, I wonder how many I would pick up. But it's like, I want to stream. I want to start streaming on Rumble, but I have to work at getting some followers over there in order to get the minimum to do that. I don't feel like I want to stream on YouTube because it's just going to be a fiasco. And it's a rite of passage. I should do it and just be like, okay. You know, I've seen all kinds of guys get their stream cut because they were doing something they shouldn't have done copyright-wise, but whatever. Let me come back to this because this is interesting and I do want to continue on for a bit.
And then everybody starts laughing at him because he's crying. Oh. And now he's mad. And he just beat Doug's face to red. It's just red. It's like he painted his face. That's
horrible.
Red. Oh, no. One of the most humiliating fights I ever got into was there was never even a punch thrown. It was me. I was 14, and there's this kid in the locker room. And I don't remember what words were said, but we were standing in front of each other. And this is before I even was really into martial arts. This is one of the reasons I got into it. This kid grabbed me in a headlock, threw me on the ground, and was going to punch me in the face, but then stopped and decided not to. So I was just going to let you up. And I was like,
oh, no.
Like mercy.
Oh, no.
But that was
it would have been better
mercy,
if he hit you, 'cause
dude.
then you look.
Mercy. He showed you mercy, and you're saying that was humiliating? Like you think it would be more manly to take a beating, is what you're saying? I don't know that I agree with that.
A little bit tough for taking the punch.
well, at least, I mean, he was so unconcerned that I could do something to him that he just let me up. And then I would avoid him, in school.
That's exactly what it was like for me with that kid in 7th grade. I would avoid the shit out of him. I would go all the way around.
Look down the hallway, and I would open up the door to the outside breezeway, and I saw him on the other side. I'm like, I gotta go around this way. I gotta keep away from that guy. I was terrified of him.
Horrible.
Terrified of him.
There
for
was
a full year.
When I was a senior.
Shit.
I never really got in fights. I just didn't. It just didn't happen to me. I was kind of bigger than a lot of kids my age, so I guess that, I just didn't, and I didn't have a lot of conflicts with people. So I never really got much into fights. I just sort of slid through, And then it's senior year.
That interesting.
I don't remember, junior or whatever, but I was high a lot, and I was in the library, and I was laughing. I was making a lot of racket in the library. I used to get yelled at all the time for being loud in the library. And this kid who's a sophomore, little kid who was like this on me, kind of skinny and wearing a leather jacket. He goes, "Hey, shut the fuck up," because he was just annoyed. And the worst part is he was right. Like, I knew in my head, I'm being annoying.
Yeah.
But I said, fuck you. And I'm just like, it's status. I'm a senior, you're a sophomore. Fuck you, shut up. And he goes, what, fuck me? And I go, yeah, fuck you. And he comes over and he goes, you want to go right now? I'll fucking kick the shit out of him. He's smaller than me, but he's wiry. And I'm like,
yes. Tiny guy. It's like you can put on that show of psycho fucking freaky anger, and sometimes that'll do the trick. You'll like destabilize somebody. But the trick for me is wiry guy. If wiry guy pisses me off, then I get wiry. I'm a wiry guy. I had someone 12 years ago start some shit with me at an event where they were raising their fist like that, like they were going to punch me. And, you know, when you go like that, you should be ready to get clobbered. And the whole stupid thing with the community then that I was in, they didn't give a shit about him being aggressive with me. It was like they were trying to get me canceled. So, but I was getting loopy, like I'm this close to fucking beating this motherfucker's ass. And, you know, here's another lesson in life. Sometimes you have enemies who are indeed their own worst enemy. And you don't even have to do anything to cause them problems, because you know what? They will do it to themselves. I've seen this a myriad of times in life. Sometimes you recognize people have that self-destructive streak, or they have their own problems, and you don't need to do anything to harm them because they're going to harm themselves in the course of living life regularly. The guy I'm talking about wound up addicted to opiates and like passed out in alleyways, homeless downtown. And that's very sad to me, but it just illustrates how I didn't have to do anything to him to eventually eliminate him. He eliminated himself. I can think of other people in my life that I don't want to bring up personally, you know. Someone my dad was engaged with in a conflict a few years ago wound up, and not a physical conflict, it was a court conflict. That guy is his own worst enemy, and it is like, and he had to accept defeat, and he just like cut off his own face to spite his nose. Cost millions of dollars, true story. Wasn't financial Armageddon, but it's tragic. When you think about all it takes in life to, like, let's say you're a regular person, imagine saving $1 million, how long that would take, how long you'd have to work in order to accumulate $1 million. Like, it's a shame when someone destroys it just out of pure vindictiveness. Speaking of fights and bullying, these guys are talking about physical fights and that kind of engagement, but sometimes you just have assholes who fight in the world of the court. Litigious fucking assholes. Let's keep going. Actually, I'm going to wrap this one up. Oh, man. So that's another thing I do. I hit the escape button, and when you don't have the window selected for the YouTube, and so I close out my scenes over here that let me switch from camera to camera.
Scared.
So yeah, now we are on the right window, and now we're going to close out of that. And I'm at 1 hour and 22 minutes, and I do have one more video in here from Rollo, but I've done enough of that. This show has gone very long, and so actually what I'm going to do now is wrap it up, dudes. Okay? If you like this show... Oops. What's up, Jules? You talking to me? You talking to me? Or, I mean, like, never mind. Let's come back here. If you like this show, I appreciate you liking the videos, commenting on the videos. I want people to take part. If you made it to the end of this and you like something I said, engage with me, interact with me. I'm looking to build a community. That's what I want to do. This is fun. Get people involved. If you like this shirt, check out the description. I have a link to this shirt. This is an updated version of it. I brightened some parts of it, and I like it much better now. So I want to tell you guys to enjoy your weekend. I won't be back until Monday, I don't think. Peace. Yeah. Be kind. Be kind to people.